Hollywood has painted some truly epic pictures of a nuclear apocalypse, right? Giant fireballs engulfing entire cities, mutated monsters roaming a barren wasteland, and the last remnants of humanity fighting over canned beans in a dusty bunker. It makes for great drama, but how much of it is actually true? Well, you might be surprised. Today we're going to dive deep into the science and separate the cinematic fiction from the chilling reality of what a nuclear war would actually look like. So grab your Geiger counter and let's debunk the biggest myths Hollywood gets wrong about the end of the world. First up, the big one, the explosion itself. In movies, you see a mushroom cloud and then everything within a 100-mile radius is instantly vaporized. While a nuclear blast is devastating, its effects are a bit more nuanced. The area of complete vaporization, the fireball zone, is actually relatively small, maybe a few miles wide for a large modern weapon. Outside of that, you have the blast wave, which is what causes most of the physical destruction, buildings collapsing, windows shattering. Then there's the thermal pulse, an intense wave of heat that can cause severe burns and start fires miles away. So, instead of one giant poof and it's over, it's a series of destructive waves. If you were far enough away to survive the initial blast, your problems are just beginning. This brings us to the most misrepresented part of a nuclear apocalypse, the fallout. In films like Mad Max or The Book of Eli, the world is a perpetually brown, dusty desert. While there would be massive environmental damage, the idea of the entire planet becoming a sterile wasteland overnight is an exaggeration. The real killer is radioactive fallout. This isn't some glowing green goo, it's dust and ash from the explosion, irradiated and carried by the wind. It's invisible, odorless, and deadly. This is where the whole bunker idea comes from. You'd need to shelter in place, preferably underground with thick concrete or earth shielding you, not for years, but for the first few days or weeks, until the most intense, short-lived radiation decays. The danger isn't being outside in a desert. It's breathing in or ingesting these tiny lethal particles. Now let's talk about those iconic movie mutants. From the ghouls in the Fallout games to the creatures in A-Boy and His Dog, radiation is Hollywood's go-to explanation for instant monstrous evolution. The reality is much more tragic and a lot less exciting. High doses of radiation cause radiation sickness, leading to a horrifying and painful death within days or weeks. For those who survive with lower doses, the long-term effects are a massively increased risk of cancer, birth defects in future generations, and other chronic illnesses. Radiation scrambles DNA. It doesn't magically rearrange it into a super mutant. You wouldn't be fighting giant irradiated scorpions. Instead, you'd be dealing with a public health catastrophe on an unimaginable scale, with sickness and genetic damage plaguing survivors for generations. It's a slow, invisible poison, not a monster maker. Another common trope is the lone wolf survivor, trekking across the country with a trusty dog and a shotgun. While it's a romantic image, it's also incredibly unrealistic. In the aftermath, the biggest threats wouldn't just be radiation or a lack of food. It would be the complete and total breakdown of society. Without power, communication, clean water, or law enforcement, desperation would set in fast. The most successful survivors wouldn't be the lone wanderers. They would be the ones who could form communities. Cooperation, not rugged individualism, would be the key to rebuilding. You'd need people with diverse skills, doctors, engineers, farmers. Going it alone would be a death sentence, not because of mutants, but because of exposure, starvation, and other desperate people. And what about the world Jongbu would leave behind? Movies often show a world plunged back into a pre-industrial age, with people scavenging for 200-year-old Twinkies. This brings us to the concept of a nuclear winter. The idea is that massive firestorms from detonated bombs would kick up so much soot and smoke into the stratosphere that it would block out the sun, causing global temperatures to plummet. This would lead to a nuclear autumn or winter, killing crops worldwide and causing mass famine. So the problem isn't just the lack of canned food, it's the inability to grow new food for years. The sky might not be permanently brown, but it could be dark and cold, making agriculture impossible. The world wouldn't just be radioactive, it would be frozen and starving. Let's also touch on technology. In movies, EMPs or electromagnetic pulses are a magic off switch for all electronics. A nuke detonates in the atmosphere, and suddenly all cars, phones, and computers are fried forever. It's a convenient plot device to force everyone back to the Stone Age. While EMPs are a very real threat, their effects are often exaggerated. An EMP would indeed fry unprotected active electronics, but things that are turned off, not plugged in or electromagnetically shielded like in a Faraday cage, might survive. Furthermore, older, simpler technologies like pre-1970s cars with non-electronic ignition systems would likely be unaffected. So it wouldn't be an absolute reset. Instead, it would create a patchwork of functioning and non-functioning technology, adding another layer of complexity and inequality to the post-apocalyptic world. Finally, what about the bunkers? We see lavish, self-sustaining vaults where the elite ride out the apocalypse in comfort. While governments have built hardened command bunkers, the idea of a network of cozy, long-term shelters for the general population is a fantasy. For most people, a shelter would be a basement, a subway tunnel, or an improvised space. The challenges would be immense: air filtration, water purification, food storage, sanitation, and the psychological toll of being confined with a group of terrified strangers. It wouldn't be a sci-fi adventure. It would be a cramped, tense, and deeply unpleasant struggle for survival, where a simple illness could wipe everyone out. So, while Hollywood's version of the apocalypse is full of action and adventure, the reality is far grimmer and, honestly, more terrifying. It's not about fighting monsters. It's a slow, agonizing battle against an invisible poison, against a collapsing ecosystem, and against our own desperation. It's a world without doctors, without clean water, under a darkened sky. Understanding the real science of a nuclear apocalypse isn't about fear-mongering. It's a stark reminder of what's at stake and why the prevention of nuclear war is one of the most important goals for all of humanity. It's a future we see in movies, but one we must never allow to become our reality. Thanks for watching, everyone. It's a heavy topic, but an important one. If you found this video informative, give it a like and subscribe for more deep dives. Let us know in the comments what other movie tropes you'd like us to tackle. Stay safe and see you next time.